हम अपनी आवश्यकता के भी लगभग 80% खिलौने विदेशों से आयात करते हैं। यानी इन पर देश का करोड़ों रुपये बाहर जा रहा है। इस स्थिति को बदलना बहुत जरूरी है।
Almost 90% of the Indian toy industry is unorganized, with 4,000 micro, small and medium enterprises scattered across the country.
Hello everyone. In the year 2022, 25% of India's population falls below 14 years of age. That's roughly 350 million kids. That's actually more than the entire population of United States. On top of that, United Nations project that India's population is only going to decline after 2047. That clearly means that the population of kids is not going down anytime before 2047. But by 2047, one more very fantastic trend is following. India's middle class and rich class population is going to become 87% of the India's populations, in compared to only 34% right now. This clearly means that the spending capacity or the disposable income of Indian households is going to skyrocket. And we all know this very well, that the Indian parents spend blindly on their kids. So at one side, the kids population is not going down anytime in the near future, and on the other side, the middle class population is going to become double in the next decades. So it's obvious that the toy industry of India is going to become multifold. So the foremost question here is, who is going to get benefited from this? Well, painfully, India might not be the primary benefiter of this. We might just become another market unless there is proper development in this industry.
In the last 70 years, we haven't trusted our indigenous industries. We haven't trusted our resources and capabilities. We've allowed foreign companies to capture our markets. The toy industry is just one of the many victims of this monopolization.
Another question that comes into my mind is, why the responsible authorities are least concerned about it? Is it because it's not as big industry as another industries? Why do we really have such a pale toy industry? Is China to be blamed? Then what is Toy Association of India doing? And what is Lego in this whole picture? And how Lego is going to disrupt India's toy industry?
I watched you rapidly opening stores last year. I mean, I believe it was 165 new Lego stores, 150 new bricks and mortar stores planned this year.
So that the company is building 2 new factories in the US and Vietnam.
The chart starts in 2004 when the recovery began and sales started to climb after the turnaround, and they really took off in the last couple of years.
In today's episode, we'll find out the answer of all these questions and try to derive the right measures to bring a change.
Lego is here. Hey, kids, look.
So like we always do, let me give you a structure or the mind map we'll be following in the few minutes. I'll start with explaining the importance of toy industry and why the people of India shouldn't ignore it because of 2 perspectives, that is economic perspective and socio-culture perspective. Then I'll share the journey and 3 strategies of Lego. Next, we'll discuss how Lego can disrupt India's toy industry. And in the last segment, we'll understand how India can strategically build its own Lego using a model named portersdiamond. So the first question that comes here is, why toy industry? Of all the important areas and all the important industries to look, why toy industry? Why the people of India should focus on the toy industry? Well, there are 2 major perspectives to it. Let me start with the economic perspective, and hear me very carefully because I am going to drop data bomb to you. In the year 2022, global toy industry is $308 billion. That is 24 lakh crores. With 350 million kids or 35 crores of kids below 14 years of age, India constitutes 18% of the global kids population. But do you know how much India shares in this global toy industry with this 350 million kids and 34% of middle class population? Not even 1%. That's true, not even 1%. In comparison, with 1 million kids, Denmark constitutes 0.05% of global kids population. But Denmark's only one company, Lego, shares 3 to 4% of global toy industry. And they haven't entered their biggest market, India, yet. And hear me out. If India would have managed to capture even 15 to 20% of this global market, today it would have been bigger than the aviation industry of India. It's a easy money with the size of market we have. Imagine how much Indian government focuses on the aviation industry of India, of all the right reasons. But toy industry cannot be ignored as well. So yes, there is an economic perspective to it. Now our governments can easily divert our focus saying that China destroyed our toy industry. Well, Lego has one of the biggest factories in China. They became their partner, not their competitor. So China is definitely not the reasons. We'll come to that, but first let's look into the socio-culture factor of why toy industry is very important to India. Service sector contributes 50% of India's GDP for a very long time, thanks to our English-speaking population who directly or indirectly fueled the service sector of our nation. But why am I talking about this? Because this caused a huge socio-culture impact in our nation. Since the entire education of this population was English-based, it's obvious that they could relate much to the English contents, English brands or English lifestyle in general. But what's the problem in that? Well, problem is their preference. Their preferences mattered a lot because they had and have the highest spending power in the nation. This resulted in a huge upsurge of Western domination in the Indian society. We all grew up with this pride that see this is an imported product, right? But this completely destroyed the Indian domestic brands, services, culture, modern Indian architecture, everything Indian. Japan did not face this issue. As a result, their domestic fashion brand Uniqlo is a global brand now. Japanese brand Toyota is the largest player of global automobile industry. Bandai Namco, the gaming company of Japan, is the world's second largest gaming brand only after Lego. And their anime industry is regardless to point. Every brand keeping alive the Japanese culture. So if millions and millions of Indian kids grow up playing Lego toys and games, watch Lego movies, spend hours and hours in Lego Metaverse, spend time in Lego Land or use Lego apps, and if there is no major Indian brand to compete with them, then how the hell can we expect when they grow up, they will have any empathy for Indian brands and culture? So it's a phenomenal interest of a country to understand how and what her children are taught, because they will ultimately set the future culture and economics of the nation. So yes, there is a socio-culture aspect to this. Now coming back to Lego, let's understand this giant through its journey. And in the meantime, I would request you to remember all the pictures marked in red, because that will help us in the last segment to understand how India can build its own Lego. During 1929 to 1932, the Americas and the Europe were going through a huge economic crisis called the Great Depression. Most of the businesses closed down and around 85% of the economy's wealth was wiped out. During that time, there was a carpenter named Ole Kerr Christensen in Billund City in Denmark. Like every other business at that time, he had to fire all his carpenters and close his workshop. But after losing his wife and with the responsibility of 4 sons, he cannot sit idle in his home. One day he invented a duck toy for his sons, and his sons absolutely loved it, and the journey of wooden toys began. He decided to shut down all his other wooden works and only focus on toys. None of his other family members took it well, but he knew its potential. During that time, one of his sons, Godfred, started helping him after school. And luckily they got a big order from a wholesaler before Christmas. He rehired his workers and the business got back on track. But luck was still testing Ole's potential. The wholesaler became bankrupt and failed to fulfill the order. But the stubborn Ole was not giving up. He decided to sell the toys himself, store to store, and the business somehow survived. But the sales were still pretty low. He knew something was missing. He realized he needs a brand name to differentiate his products from other players in the market. He wanted a name that resonates with his idea of toys, that is, to play well. In Danish, play well is called legot, and hence the play of words become Lego. The idea worked. People loved the innovative toys of Lego and business spiked up. But he had different dreams for his company, and Ole decided to upgrade his workshop with a milling machine from Germany. It was as expensive as a house at that time. But Ole had a huge faith in the investment. It was important to produce softer curves of the toys to make them much safer for the kids. And also, the automation will increase the production multifold. Not just he was passionate about creating toys, he immensely cared about the safety of the kids. During that time, his son Godfred tried a trick to increase the profit. Usually, when the toys were prepared, Ole used 3 layers of polish. But his son only used 2 coats to save money and increase the profit. It was unacceptable for Ole. He established the first and the most important strategy of Lego, that only the best is good enough. By 1942, they began profiting from the business. But one stormy night, the entire Lego factory burnt into ashes, and the insurance company failed to pay the claim. But he had dedicated his entire life towards his society and the workers. So with the help of family, workers, and the bank, who agreed to lend some money, finally helped to re-establish their business. And the journey restarted soon. Soon, his son started to handle most of his business, and Ole focused on innovating better toys. And what happened next completely transformed the company to what we see today. One day, Ole visited Copenhagen to see a new plastic molding machine that came from England, and the idea of iconic Lego brick came into existence. Soon the company shifted from wooden toys to plastic toys. Few months later, his son Gottfried was in a business trip, and during a conversation, he realized the toys did not have any system. Everything was pre-made. Hear this very carefully, because this is the second core strategy that made Lego what it is today. The toys did not have any system. Kids do not think to create toys. There is no creativity in the toys. The idea evolved into creating the iconic Lego system. The concept of system simply means one toy should not be an individual product. It should be interlinked with all its products. Today, a brick set bought 50 years before can still be used with a new Lego set released in 2023. Look at these two sets. If a child wants to use the superheroes from this set in the city made from this set, nobody can stop her. Now the kids can make anything. There are 91 crore 51 lakh 3,765 ways to combine only 6 2x4 bricks. A never-ending saga of games. But there was still another problem. The bricks fell whenever piled in huge numbers. To solve the problem, his son came up with a very innovative clutch system that would hold the bricks rock solid. The idea was a huge success, and more competition began to flood. Lego had no choice but to patent the Lego brick system. Now, since nobody else can make similar bricks as Lego, this resulted into their third core strategy, that was community. Now, since the Lego system gave the kids the opportunity to make anything, every kid was making something different. They could tell their own stories to each other. They can show their creativity to each other, and the company capitalized in this community. Lego created Lego lands, Lego houses, Lego apps, where the community can come together and share their experiences together. Today, Lego has created a global community. In the last few decades, the company has completely transformed themselves into a more than a toy company.
The company has become more than just blocks.
They have video games, movies, theme parks, all these activities which ultimately reinforce the core, which is the sale of Lego sets.
This year, they booked a profit of 9.4 billion US dollars. But the important question here is how Lego can disrupt Indian toy industry. In 2013, Lego had an Indian-British chief operating officer named Bali Padda. During his term, Lego opened one of the biggest factories in Xinjiang, China. And this year, they are opening another major factory in Vietnam.
Thing, $1 billion US dollars factory in Vietnam, the first carbon neutral factory. Why Vietnam now?
The important question here is why Lego is opening so many factories in Asia Pacific? Well, because of the very simple fact that Asia Pacific accounts for 41% of the global toy industry.
Why Vietnam? I think that we are here in Vietnam is really about the kids in Southeast Asia. We have an aspiration to reach as many kids as possible.
The global part of your business, Asia, I believe, is important to you. Is there a big difference in how you market and push Lego there?
And if you look into this map, there are only two major places Lego haven't expanded their market yet. That is Africa and India. Right now, India restricts these businesses to import finished goods in our country. But India does not restrict FDI. So to tap the market of 350 million kids and fastest growing middle class population, sooner or later, Lego is definitely going to open factories in India. But friends, when they enter, it's an open field. It's a green land to harvest. Our toy industry is so pale that there is no major Indian competitor to compete with Lego. And I want to show you the disruptive power of Lego in three terms: movies, video games, and Lego products. We all know the crazy fan following of Marvel and DC Universe in India, right? But you will be shocked to know that Lego Batman movie released in 2017 was received so well by the audience that it made more profits than DC Universe last three movies, Shazam, The Beetle, and The Flash combined.
Now, the maker of toy bricks has been named the world's most powerful brand by the consultancy Brand Finance. Brand Finance says it's down to the success of the Lego movie, which provided a key marketing tool.
Their success is so prominent in the film industry that there is a whole bunch of Lego movies coming out since last few years. Imagine the impact it will create in India after Lego becomes popular here. But movies are still the tip of the iceberg. Lego projected their video games market as the fastest growing market with a CAGR of 6.8%. And guess what? To capture the market, Lego has partnered with Epic Games, the same company who has created the very popular game Fortnite, to create their own metaverse.
The Lego Group and Epic Games have announced that they're entering into a long-term partnership to develop a metaverse that's safe for children.
On top of that, their PS5 game, Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga, was so popular that it became one of the year's top-selling titles with 91% positive ratings from the players. And least of all that, their main product is so popular that they opened 155 new stores in the year 2022, 95 only in China.
Shanghai is now home to the biggest Lego store on the planet. Children and adults were fitted with displays of dragons and colourful castles. The Danish company, known for its plastic bricks, wants to expand the educational play experience in China.
The Lego Builder app, which helps the children to create their own Legos, had 13 million downloads in a single year, reciting the tales of their popular product. Their psychological strategy is to involve kids so well at the tender age that they continue to love the product even when they grow up, either in the form of movies, games, or fun world.
Last night I was talking to my brother in Australia, he's 58, and he was saying to me that he still has our Lego box that we played with 50 years ago in his attic so that he can play when he has grandchildren.
So once they enter India full-fledgedly, it's regardless to say that the disruption is inevitable. So the next question would be, our government must be taking some concrete steps to revolutionize this industry. Well, I wouldn't say that confidently.
The biggest challenge, however, that the sector faces is lack of good talent. Now, what can be done about this? Industry experts reckon that the government needs to invest big time in training budgets for labor.
The initiatives of fairs and stall booths are only one layer of work. That might increase the size of the industry because it's so huge, but that's not a permanent solution. If you want to produce brands like Lego, we need to work on 4 pillars called Porter's Diamond. I know that sounds very academic and complicated, but I'll explain you in a very simple manner using the Lego story what we saw previously. Porter's Diamond is a very simple model which gives 4 interlinked areas a country must work on to become the master of any industry. Namely, factor conditions, related and supporting industries, demand conditions, and firm strategy and competition. Now all these 4 could be there in a country either by luck or it could be systematically created by the government. Let's understand this one by one. Let's start with the factor conditions. This simply means skills and resources a country already has. Like I said before, this could be either by luck or created by the government. Remember when Ole started his wooden toy manufacturing, how easily he got high quality woods and skilled carpenters? Because at that time in Europe, the houses were mostly woodworks, so there were ample supply of high quality finished woods and numerous skilled carpenters. So wood and carpentry skill were already there in the country by luck, which ultimately helped Denmark to master toy industry. This is called factor conditions. Now this could be even created by government, like how IITs and NITs were created in India to create IT tech skills to fuel the IT industry of India. Next is related and supporting industry. As the name suggests, this means the availability of related industries to support the main business. Remember when Ole wanted to expand his business, how comfortably he got a milling machine from a manufacturer and then a plastic molding machine later? These were supporting industry available in the country that helped Denmark to produce brand like Lego. Now again, this could be either by luck or chance or systematically created by the government. Now let's move on to the demand conditions. This simply means the size of the demand in its own country. Because more domestic demands help the company to easily generate profit for a long time. This gives them the necessary time to understand the behavior of their customers and gain experience in the industry. Remember how Lego evolved from wooden toys to plastic toys? Then they eventually evolved into Lego systems. Since there was huge domestic demand in Denmark, they got the time to understand their customers well. Again, this demand could be already there or could be created by the government. Like how government initiative of Atmanirbhar Bharat is increasing the demand of Indian-based goods and services. Now let's move on to firm strategy and rivalry. This refers to the extent of rivalry in the domestic market. Remember when Lego was struggling to separate their product from other competition? He branded his name as Lego and the profit spiked up. Also later, when more and more competition were kicking in, Lego innovated clutch system in their Lego bricks and patented them to differentiate themselves from the competitors. More competition means more innovative products and strategies of the companies. This tough competition helped Denmark to produce best toy company by forcing them to innovate. Now again, this could be by chance or the government can create an environment for more competition. like how Indian government have maintained rivalry in the telecom industry, which ultimately brings new innovative products for the customers and at a very competitive price. All these four conditions ultimately help Denmark to create global toy brands like Lego. Now coming back to India, we already have the demand conditions. We have the manpower. We need the supporting industries to come together. We need the innovative skills, and we need to facilitate startups to create competition in the market.
Talent is our biggest challenge. I think talent is a challenge because we are not used to this industry. You see, we have a lot of engineers in this country.
Correct.
But our engineers are specification-based engineers, which means if I give you the specification of a product, as an engineer, you can make it.
So instead of just organizing toy fairs or randomly adding some toy designing course in the design institutes, government should focus on creating platforms in line with the medical colleges of India, where the students learn and practice at the same place. These platforms must teach a holistic course on designing, machinery and entrepreneurship. B. Bring the indigenous craftsmen of India to create authentic Indian toys with modern approach. And C. By the end of the course, provide startup incubations, facilitating with the supporting industries in the same college. This can help to create a chain of impact in the industry. And on the other hand, as a citizen of India, it is our responsibility to be informed and held our authorities responsible for their performance. And that's the end of the case study. I linked down all the resources I used to make this case study, and I'll request you to use them for your further research. If you found anything valuable, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.